Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we're going to talk about 5G. We're going to talk about the philosophical arguments between those of us who do not choose political action in most cases, between those who choose to get involved in the political system, and we're going to talk about just the bigger picture as far as certain threats that might, be facing humanity, and whether or not taking the agorist, anarchist route is the most effective and the most practical route. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com, which is our website. You can get all of our latest content, articles, videos, books for download. You can get some shirts. You can support us wherever you want. And of course, if you want to support our sponsors, My Brave Botanicals, you can get a free ounce of kratom and get some CBD from them, and that helps us out. I also want to invite you guys to join our Discord channel, to follow on Steemit, follow on Minds, to join our text list, because that makes sure that you get text to your phone whenever we put out new videos. You don't have to rely on Facebook or YouTube or any of those things. And if you really want to support, you can sign up on patreon.com/Derrick Broze to keep me doing this work. And I will let you guys know I've had a good amount of responses for my call out for editors, for video editors. So I'm going to be getting back to many of you, and I'm excited about that. So the focus today, as I said, is 5G. And those of you who've been following for a while, you can see here our 5G playlist on YouTube. Learn about the 5G health and privacy concerns. And these videos go back to October 2018. So almost a year now since I've been working on these different issues and raising awareness on these causes and going to city council, starting with this first video right here, Derrick Broze educates Houston City Council on 5G. That one has over 900,000 views now, so thanks to everybody who supported that. And we've really been exploring this topic. I've questioned the CEO of Verizon. I've questioned the mayor out here. I've gone to city council dozens of times. I've been on the local news. I've looked at the privacy aspects, the dangers of smart cities. I've looked into the studies here on my video, Sorry I Was Wrong About 5G. I interviewed the ACLU attorney from Northern California about the privacy and security concerns. I tried to interview the mayor again. I've interviewed Theodoro Scarrato of the Environmental Health Trust. I've talked about how Donald Trump's administration has been helping to push the 5G rollout along. I've talked about examples of local resistance to 5G. I've talked about Wired magazine questioning 5G and the New Yorker magazine questioning 5G. I've interviewed Dr. Martin Paul of Washington State University on the science behind the health dangers. And again, I highlighted more local resistance to 5G. And I've also recently shown how Louisiana has become the first state to call for studying the environmental impacts of 5G. Now, as I'm approaching a year since I've really been diving deep into this, since I've really been questioning people, doing all kinds of videos, and again working on a mini documentary coming up. And I also saw my buddy James Corbett recently put out a short mini documentary called The 5G Dragnet. So my point with saying all this is there is just such an immense amount of information out there and available to anybody who's trying to get educated on this topic. Now, as long as you don't get sucked into the BS whirlwind of the mainstream and believe that anybody who questions 5G must be a Russian bot or something like that, or as long as you can get outside of that bubble, you're going to find information that will cause you to question the safety of 5G, whether that's the health concerns, the privacy concerns, or just the fact that the whole thing that's being rolled out is a completely corporatist usurpation of local power on the local and state level, taking away power from cities and municipalities and towns, and basically not allowing them to decide what they want in their own communities. And now we end up in situations where communities have towers next to schools. People have towers 60 feet outside of their windows and 80 feet outside of their homes and things like this. And you guys also know that I am currently running for mayor of Houston. Well, I want you to understand that one of the main reasons I chose to run for mayor of Houston is because of this, because of 5G. If you were to visit my website, and I told you guys in the beginning, I'm not going to talk too much about the mayoral campaign on this channel, because I don't want this channel, The Conscious Resistance, to become the Derrick Broze for Mayor channel. I'm willing to start from the ground up with my other new channels on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff, instead of just flooding you guys with all my mayoral information. But the reason I bring it up today is that if you were to go over here to the website and you look at the different issues that I'm focused on, 5G is just one of them, right? So there's a number of different issues that I think are important, and as a mayoral candidate, I can shine a light on. But it really did start with 5G. It really did start because of these issues and these videos that I'm looking at, because I've done everything that we're told we're supposed to do. I've gone to city council. I've talked to I sent emails, phone calls to the mayor, to the city council, tried to get people to care about this, gone to the streets and passed out flyers, posted all kinds of things on social media. Obviously, I'm doing these videos. And they're having an effect. Like I said, one of the videos has 900,000 views. Occasionally, somebody will recognize me from YouTube and from the 5G video, and that's cool. But has that moved me any closer to my goal of slowing 5G down, of trying to get people to be understanding the dangers posed by this system and to look into it deeper? I don't know. I mean, I think that it's good to have people say, hey, I saw you on YouTube, and that kind of feels cool. It's like, all right, my hard work's paying off. But that doesn't mean the mayor's going to stop doing what he was doing. Doesn't mean that the CEO of Verizon's going to stop doing what he's doing. It really doesn't mean anything other than I got views on YouTube, and in this case, since I don't take money from YouTube, I didn't even get paid for that. So it's not like I can say, well, at least my hard work brought me some individual financial reward. It's not even doing that, right? So at the end of the day, then what has it done? It's brought over 1 million views to my channel. Cool. I've got some new subscribers out of it. That's cool. I wish more of you would pay attention. I wish more of you were tuned in. I wish more of you would take action, and I try to stress that to you. But what is the real measurable effect of that? What is the real measurable effect of posting mini documentaries and videos online? Does that actually lead to, and writing articles even? I've written a number of articles for the Mind Unleashed recently about 5G, and I can't really say that they're having the effect I want. I can say, oh, look, I got a bunch of shares. Oh, cool, that one went viral or whatever. But how many of those people that are reading those articles, watching those videos, and sharing them are then going home and saying, I need to get educated, I need to get involved? I definitely have a lot of emails in my inbox from people all over the world who reached out and said, do you have information for me? Can you help me fight this on a local level? And that's awesome, because that is what I want. But overall, I think that what we're dealing with 5G, because this is such a genie coming out of the bottle, and when this thing rolls out, the Internet of Things and 5G and the internet connected world that these people want, that both the consumers are being told that they need, and some of them are blindly accepting, and both that the power brokers, the controllers at the top of the pyramid, that they want, so they can have a complete panopticon surveillance state, so that they can, I'm assuming, irradiate people and generally just monitor everything, and in the process take away local control and local power. So is anything we're doing actually slowing that down? I don't believe so. And so in my desperation, I guess you could say, or in my desire to stop this issue, because I do see it as being such a big thing, what I mean by genie out of bottle, it's not like certain things where, okay, there's pesticides in the water. That is a bad issue. That's pretty messed up, right? But we can do things about that. We can say, okay, well, I'm going to grow food without pesticides. I'm going to start a community garden in my neighborhood that doesn't use pesticides. And we're going to avoid all those traditional, quote unquote, traditional farming, co-ops and grocery stores, so that we don't get pesticides. And we're going to make sure we're drinking good, clean water, so we're not drinking contaminated water. And we're going to remediate our soil. You can do all kinds of things. But with 5G, with the Internet of Things, once it comes out, you can't go back. Do you understand this? Once this thing is rolled out, it's already happening in Houston. They're putting towers all over the city. Once it is complete, what are we supposed to do about it? How do we then go backwards? I mean, other than say lobbying the government, please, get rid of this or whatever. How do you make that go backwards? Because once they put the system in place, they will not voluntarily take it down. Now, some of you out there on commenting on YouTube, I've seen you say, oh, I know the quickest way to take this down. I'm going to smash these towers. Look, I don't buy that. I don't believe any of you got the balls to do that. I think you're just talking big on the internet. So unless you really do plan to get a little group of freedom cell together and go do some kind of street vandalism against 5G towers, which I'm not going to discourage or encourage. Unless you plan to do that, then I don't know. What are you really doing? Anything? So I've been having this, battle in my head for a while now, and really just like feeling the impending, 5G rollout and thinking like, what the hell? How can I stay in Houston? I can't stay in Houston if this is going on. Houston's one of the first test city. Well, I can't really stay in the United States because the United States is embracing it. All right, what other places? I'm starting to think about the future and think about the health of myself and my loved ones and my family and, a future family. And I don't know. So Anyways, with that long rambling, I'm just saying this is why a big part of why I decided to run for mayor. Not because I want to be a freaking a politician or, be a career, political person or anything like that. And I know some of you out there who think I sold out because I've talked about anarchism, I've written about anarchism, and I've written about agorism and counter-economics, which I still believe in. I'm actually still writing a book called Counter-Economics. But as I said, I think that this situation that we're presented with is one that is so dire and so just, I don't know, it's dangerous, that I don't think there is a true counter-economic agorist solution, a political solution in this case. I don't think we all have to run for mayor to try to stop it necessarily, but unless you're actively organizing and lobbying in your community in some way, as some of the people I have met in Houston are doing and elsewhere, then you're not really doing anything. And the thing about the YouTube videos and about the articles is we're just preaching to the choir. No matter how big your YouTube channel is, even say Luke, We Are Change, and some of the others that got 200,000, 500,000, and whatever, even people up to 1 million. That's a lot of people. But for the most part, you are preaching to the choir. And because of the censorship that we're facing, both soft censorship and outright censorship, we are in a situation where we're only reaching a very limited amount of our audience. I have 30,000 subscribers here, and I only get a couple hundred views on every video on average, and maybe one goes viral and it gets a couple thousand, or it goes mega viral but it's being seen by such a small percentage of you. So knowing that the people who come to my channel are generally already awake, or somehow they stumble onto something new. For example, with the 5G video, it went viral and it got a lot of new people to pay attention. But that doesn't always happen. So generally, my work and my efforts are going to people who are just nodding their heads in agreement. Yep, we know, Derrick. Yeah, I know, it's so crazy. Yeah, we can't believe that's happening. And I'm willing to work with you, and I want to work with you, but I also want to keep growing. If we're going to have a true awakening, which, I've been awake since 2010 when I started getting into this, and many people thought that, the awakening's coming 2012, or, some people think it's still going on, or it's happening, or it's a process, right? Humanity is awakening. It takes time. But if we're going to keep this journey going of actually reaching new people, we have to do that. We have to reach new people. We have to keep growing. And this is my problem with a lot of the libertarian or anarchist conferences or even activist conferences, is that it becomes a circle jerk where we're just preaching to the choir. We're just preaching to the people who already are aware and already know. And because of that, I decided to run for mayor. Not because of, like I said, I'm not a politician, but because it's important to reach new people, and because 5G presents such a precarious situation that I don't think if we stop this, that there's going to be any way to stop it later. So I'm willing to say, look, I am an anarchist, and I do believe that the government is violent, and I do think that voting is inefficient and is not the most effective way to express yourself. And I do think that political contests are just popularity contests, and all of those things. I still think those things. I still believe in agorism. I still believe in all of that. But there is no Agorist solution to this situation. I believe in mesh networks and decentralizing and localizing and off-grid solutions. And we could create our own mesh network and have a separate internet that allows us to, have censorship free. But again, at the same time, most of the people who are using the internet will continue to use the mainstream internet, aka the World Wide Web. So even if we make our own alternative internet, mesh networks, it's just going to be a small group of us. And that doesn't stop them from rolling out 5G towers in your backyard, right? You can say, well, screw what they're doing. I'm just going to keep living the agorist lifestyle and the anarchist lifestyle, and I'm going to work off grid and do all these things, which I encourage. But eventually, you're going to have a 5G tower in your backyard or in your neighbor's yard or next to you, because it's going to be everywhere. So then tell me, my anarchist friends, my hardcore counter-economic agorist friends, especially those of you who have talked shit to me, who I'm speaking to, what's your solution for this? What are you doing? Are you doing anything? Because I'm doing everything I can, including running for office, which quite frankly makes me sick in some ways. It makes me kind of disturbed to think that I still have to register to vote to play this game. I got to pay them $1,200 to stay in the race and play this game. But at the same time, you know what else is happening? I'm reaching people, friends. I'm reaching new people just in this race already. So I just want to show you a quick example. Last week, I spoke at a neighborhood here in Houston called Tanglewood. And Tanglewood is a fairly wealthy neighborhood. They are actively fighting 5G. They have a lawyer already. Their homeowners association is suing to try to stop it. Now, I don't know what is going to be the outcome of that, because, as I said, there's so much going against them. We have the federal government, the FCC, passing rules that restrict local power. I also found out that the Texas government, the state government, passed Chapter 248 Local Government Code, which also takes away local power. So you have both the state and the federal level. But my point is, this community is fighting it. And so I reached out to them. They're putting 5G yard signs up in their community. They're pushing back. And they held a neighborhood forum last week where two of the other candidates, one of which who had already spoken in favor of 5G, were at. And I decided, well, I need to be there. So I reached out to them, made some introductions. They invited me to come out. And although I wasn't on the event as an official candidate, they did make time for me to speak to their community about 5G. And quite frankly, the community knew that the other two guys were full of shit. They said, their answers sucked because both these guys claimed, oh, well, I know you have concerns about 5G, but I'm talking about safe 5G. We want something different, what I call real 5G and safe 5G. So both of these guys that are running in the race claimed that they support 5G, but not the dangerous 5G. And anyways, it gave me a chance to follow up with this community and to speak my truth to them. And, this is getting me invited back already. So you can see here's the event. And I was able to speak to them. I'll just play a short clip here for you.
King and Tony Busby are wrong with what they told me tonight about 5G. I tried to ask Tony about it outside and he walked away, didn't want to talk about it. But what he said is he believes in a safe 5G. It's not such a thing. Okay, so he's saying he only wants to put 7 towers between here and Westheimer. That's not how 5G works. When Bill says he likes 5G, but do it safer. But the way that 5G, which stands for the 5th generation of cellular technology, you also may have heard it referred to as the Internet of Things. This is the idea that we're going to have tens and thousands of sensors everywhere, smart houses, smart homes, sensors in the streets for smart driverless vehicles, robot assistants, all these things that Mayor Turner has called for and that Mr. Busby and Bill King have supported. But the thing about that, in order for that system to operate, you have to install what are known as small cell sites or bigger towers on existing infrastructure like you're seeing in Tanglewood every 200 to 500 feet. So in order for it to operate, it has to be placed every 205 feet. So there's no mistake about, what they put in our backyard. That is the plan for it. And unfortunately, the FCC...
I know the audio is not that great on that, but basically I'm just breaking down the situation to them. Got to speak to them for about 7 to 10 minutes or so, and then hang out and speak to some more people. We passed out lots of flyers. And since then, I spoke to one of the organizers, and I'm being invited back to speak to them again. Just me, specifically to this community about 5G. And they've also got to the point where now one of the other main candidates, who's the main challenger to the current mayor, his campaign wants to connect with me. I don't know if they're trying to bring me into their campaign, which I'm not interested in, of course. But my point is, I'm actually starting to have an effect on the election in the 4th biggest city in the United States in just this small way. And we're just getting started. So I'm doing a 5G teach-in this coming Friday, and I think that'll reach even more people. Now, my point with sharing this is that, look, if I didn't do this, I could continue to make my YouTube videos like I've shown you here, continue to write articles and do what I've been doing and go to city council and bitch at the city council. But I'm only going to reach, for the most part, people who are already looking into this. In the mayoral race, now that I'm a candidate, it's silly, but the fact is that people will listen to me differently just because I'm a candidate. Now, he's a candidate for mayor and he's talking about my issue. Let me see what he has to say, right? And the people in this crowd, most of them, I would say 50, 60, 70 years of age, fairly wealthy, and a part of Houston that I don't really go to. These aren't the kind of people that are on my YouTube channel. But now they're listening. Now they know my name. Now they know this issue. Now they know I'm running for mayor. And who knows what that could have. What kind of effect that could have. And honestly, at this point, I care more about that. Because yes, I am an anarchist. Yes, I'm an agorist. Yes, I'm a counter-economist. And I will continue to believe in and promote those solutions because I see the value in them. But before any of those things, before I ever really got into philosophy and started to understand all those things, all I cared about was waking people up and trying to change things. And that's what I still care about. So honestly, I'm kind of just going back to my roots and recognizing that my intentions with getting into activism in the very beginning were about reaching people and changing things. And if I can, I will admit it's a compromise of my principles. It's a temporary compromise. The election's over in November, all right? So here I am admitting I'm compromising my principles for 4 or 5 months. Sue me if you want, but, stop following me if you want, whatever, judge me. I don't really care at this point, because if I can do this and reach new people, then it's going to be worth the effort. It's going to be worth me swallowing my pride a little bit and saying, all right, I'll participate in this BS political system. But hey, maybe we wake up new people. Maybe by some crazy, twist of fate, we actually stop 5G in Houston, and Houston becomes a hub for people who care about freedom and who care about their health and who want to push back against the local government and the state government and the federal government. Because that's what I want to do. I'm willing to try to take on these things. And so I'm running for mayor to do this. Now, I just wanted to share that with you guys because, like I said, I've just been thinking a lot about this and thinking about these some different issues. Like, for example, mandatory vaccination orders, that those are something else that's coming into, a trend now that's happening in different states like California, and that some have considered bringing to Texas. As part of the campaign, I'm saying I would stand against mandatory vaccination orders because, again, as an agorist, I can unschool my kids. I can take them out of the system. We can, create communities of free children who are thinking differently, and we can pursue alternative healthcare and more natural medicines and things of that sort. But the state is going to continue to grow. And I know that I'm kind of making an argument against agorism here that many people have made to me. They've said, oh yeah, agorism is great, Derrick, but you can't ignore the state. They're going to keep growing. And my answer to that has always been, I'm not just simply ignoring them. I'm building something better. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm still trying to build something better. But the reality is, the agorists are a very, very, very minority population, even smaller. So the anarchists are already a small population, and within the anarchist group, there's a smaller population of agorists and counter-economists who understand the value of opting out of systems that don't align with your values and creating new counter-institutions, community institutions that can challenge the state. But again, how many of you are actually doing that? Not very many. It's a pretty lonely world to be a true agorist, to not pay taxes and to opt out of systems that don't align with your values, and try to change your life to fit your principles. It's inconvenient sometimes. It's difficult. It's frustrating. And a lot of you don't want to be bothered. So here I am in a small minority population of agorists and true believers who think that we can change the world generation by generation, piece by piece, and understand that liberty only grows heart to heart, mind to mind, that mass conversion is not possible. And I still fully believe that. But when it comes to issues like 5G and maybe even mandatory vaccination orders, and the state, we're getting to a point where the state is encroaching at such a ridiculous level, I don't know that we can just, build around them at this point. We can build around them when it comes to food. We can build around them and organize freedom cells and find solutions that I've promoted and I've written about in my books. But I guess we didn't really prepare for the 5G smart grid world. And that's what my next book is about. It's called How to Opt Out of the Coming Social Credit State, because of this. Because I'm really realizing, wow, there are some difficult situations. There might be, it might be almost impossible to still be an agorist and a counter-economist in the world that is coming with 5G and the Internet of Things. And so because of that, because I realized that this is such a grave threat, I decided to run for office and to see if I can fight it that way. And you know what? Maybe I'm a sellout for a few months. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe we don't win. Maybe we don't even influence it. But I know that we are influencing it already in a small way, and perhaps that can continue. And that's why I'm doing this. So, I know I just ranted on a whole lot, and this is longer than I intended it to be. I'm going to leave it here, but I really, really would love to hear your thoughts, opinions, comments below. Leave the comments below. Email me if you got something to say. Join the Discord channel and say something. What are your thoughts on this? Should we just stay the path, the anarchist, agorist, opt-out, off-grid path, no matter the circumstances? Or are there certain special circumstances where we have to kind of quote unquote get involved, in some way? And I'm not saying everybody again has to run for office, but if you're not going to council, or you're not organizing, or you're not forming a freedom cell to start taking down these towers, or if you're not reaching out to other cities and trying to get ideas, then what are you doing? Are you doing anything? Or are you just like, all right, I'm just going to live in my little cabin in the woods until it comes to my doorstep? Because guess what? It's coming to your doorstep. So I already told you guys I plan to leave Houston, and this felt like one last effort I could make to try to change the city that I've grown up in, and maybe even have some success. And I guess time will tell how successful we are. But I know that with your support, and if we work collaboratively together, we can change things. But if we don't, well, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be in for very much good, and I can say that when it comes to the world of that we're headed to, both, and I mean that mentally, physically, and spiritually. We're headed to some dark places if people don't start getting up and organizing. And you know what? We have to do more than just make YouTube videos and write articles. We have to get to the streets and talk to people and organize. So find some freaking way. Think about a way that fits for your lifestyle and for your, principles and your mode of action. Connect with other people and start taking action. Because otherwise, the 5G smart city, smart grid, dragnet, social credit score system is going to march forward and nobody's going to do a damn thing about it. And I can't do that, so I'm doing something. All right, guys, till next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.